Welcome back. We hope you had a really nice lunch. And now we are delighted to welcome Dr. Oskar Marko and Milan Lisica, our colleagues from BioSense Institute, who will present on startup support services that the TTO provides at BioSense. Dr. Oskar Marko is the head of the Center for Information Technologies and Assistant Director for Innovation and Industry Collaboration at the BioSense Institute, Serbia. His research focuses on applying machine learning and evolutionary algorithms in agriculture. He led the BioSense team to first place win in Syngenta's crop challenge at CGIAR, the inspiring challenge for innovations in crop yield prediction and optimization. Dr. Marko is involved in multiple Horizon 2020 projects and collaborate with agricultural companies such as Krivaya, MK Agri, and Delta. His colleague Milan Lisica is a technology transfer manager at BioSense Institute, where he helps transform scientific innovations into market-ready solutions. He supports researchers in defining ideas, identifying industry challenges, conducting market research, and building industry partnerships. Milan also guides the creation of spin-offs, securing funding, and advancing commercialization efforts. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. First of all, my head down to all of you who organized this. Vasa, Minja, Slavica, and the rest. Really great job. And what we're gonna talk today? First of all, when I entered this building, I realized here that there are many innovations that maybe lack some support in terms of really encouraging people to think that what they have in their hands is really worth of putting it on the market. So it works, yeah. So what Oskar and I are going to present today is that we'll talk about BioSense Technology Transfer Office, what we do just shortly about that, the support that we offer to startups, and the partnership model that we have, and later on you will have the chance to ask us a question. Please interrupt us at any point. The idea is really this to be informative for you, and that you really learn something from this, and to realize how we can help you. So please interrupt at any moment. Okay, Oskar, as you can, he just arrived from the train station by bike here. So, as you can see, yeah. So yeah, why we are here together? Oskar is experienced in startup creation. He has his own startup. He will tell us a little bit more about that. And also he's jack of many trades regarding the Institute's partnership with industry, securing funds, and also his startup life. And I'm the one who will be, let's say, like doing the work here at the BioSense. Of course, how we imagine this is that, okay, some of the colleagues, they want to create a startup. They will most likely approach me, and then we will work on their application for some startup grant or something, and so on. And Oskar will be, let's say, mentoring us or helping us to really, let's say, bring the success the further. Oskar, do you want to add something more about yourself, or?
First of all, thanks, Isidora, for saying a few words about myself. I started to blush halfway through, so thank you very much. And that's about it. So I've got a startup called Cropped, which means that I have, I wouldn't say a successful startup, but a startup that has still not failed. So we'll see how we go from there. I also had a number of failures, and that's one of the other side of this business. But anyway, I'm just trying to help researchers at BioSense and from the project roll out their innovations to industry and make an impact. So again, delighted to be here, and Milan, take it over.
Continue on. Yeah, this is the startup that Oskar talked about, the Cropped, and this is the only, let's say, the live startup in the BioSense ecosystem, if I'm not mistaken, right? Okay. I'm really impressed by what guys do here, the BioSense. It is supporting, let's say, internal startups, like people who want to start startup and who's employed here, so BioSense employees. But also BioSense is open for let's say, startup ideas who are coming outside of the institute. So if someone wants to create a startup and he's not part of the BioSense and wants to support with the BioSense, and if you find interest in that, we are really like supporting also those kind of ideas. And of course, something that is the core research of the BioSense. For example, some agtech startup or something like that. So the institution is really generally open to anyone who has some idea for the innovation and who is in our area of interest. So what we do, I'm the only one who officially works at the technology transfer office. We established officially 6 months ago, although there are many, let's say, commercial activities from the very start of the institute. Mainly, Oskar was involved in that, partnership with industry, also finding some, let's say, co-development agreements and so on. What I basically do and how I support people here is that I promote innovation and entrepreneurship. I really enjoy in talking to our scientists and in hearing what they do and how we can, let's say, make something out of that. Recently, what I've been involved into is writing project proposals and especially writing the part how we can commercialize that innovation. So I'm imagining like our technology transfer office in some point to be a part of every project that has some commercial component. And what we could do is really do market research, contact potential customers, and really be there for researchers on their way to commercialization. So I see us in almost every project that we'll continue working on in the following period. And also we have an incubator here, which recently ended last week, and we support teams for research institutions from Serbia. So the last one that we had lasted 6 months. We had 12 teams from institutes in Serbia, and they were coming over to BioSense to hear more about how to commercialize their science, how to do market research, how to find the financing, and so on. And which is great for BioSense to be, let's say, a place where the people come together and learn about that and have some experience. And on the top of all, I think that for them was really valuable that at the end, we are the ones who will help them to find some commercial partner. Let's take one example. So we have a team. They are making some special sensor for detection of some problems in animals, let's say. And they finished the incubator, and now we are helping them really to find someone who can potentially buy their innovation. And the last one is, the last but not the least, is the startup support and business development. I think that business development is the component that we don't have that developed right now. But same as Paulo from Barcelona was talking about, this is, I think, important ingredient in this entire process. So I hope that we will, let's say, secure some grants in the following period to also bring some people to do that. And maybe the first thing that I'm helping now the scientists. I'm at the moment in some way fishing for them, but in the long run, I'm here just to learn them how to fish. So to do together market research and then to show on some examples how we did it. And I envision that later on, every researcher here in the BioSense Institute really knows what means, okay, if you have something on your mind that you know answer, who is buying that, who are your potential end users, how big is the market, and what is your go-to-market strategy. So I think that we are on the way to do that. And more and more people are aware of that, and I'm really happy to hear to see some young people. Maybe I can mention Stefan is here. He's a master's student, and he already knows about what means total addressable market, potential customers, how to name, how to present innovation, how to make a pitch deck, and so on. So I think that really light is shining over BioSense innovations, and I'm really motivated, and I'm really optimistic that we'll make something great here in the following years. I think it's Oskar now. You can take over and talk more about this business modeling, and once we go step after the market research and defining, then maybe this is the next session.
Well, first of all, I think it's all very intertwined, and business models, stakeholder groups, partners, customers, clients. But I think the important thing here is to really analyze the market and analyze the stakeholders. And I can tell you, because I learned it the hard way, because we made a lot of mistakes when we founded the company Crops, which Milan mentioned. The problem was that we had this idea in mind that we're going to optimize the way the things are done on the field, so that we're going to, for example, optimize what hybrids and varieties farmers are going to choose. And that was our idea, and we were pushing it really hard. But it turned out that nobody wants to do that, and nobody wants to trust AI in doing that, because agriculture, after all, is a very traditional market, and people are quite conservative generally in life, not just towards AI and IT. So at some point, we realized that we spent a year making up products that nobody actually needs, and that's the worst thing you can do, because we really didn't listen to the market. We didn't talk to people. I mean, we kind of did, but there is this bias problem. If you talk to your neighbors, your friends, your mother is always going to tell you that you're the prettiest boy around, but that might not be true. And it was similar to the business model that we had in mind, that we're going to use AI to optimize farms and everything. And the farmers that we spoke with were actually quite positive about it. Yeah, that's great. What do you do? Let's do that. And then when we tried to sell it to them, they're like, well, okay, call me next week. I'm quite busy now. Maybe on Monday, not Monday, Tuesday, but we'll see about it. So it didn't happen. So we realized that we need to change the business model. And for example, if I'm talking about like the choice of seeds and varieties, we did a tiny tweak in the business model that really kicked the ball rolling. And that was that we're not going to recommend anything to the farmers because you can't earn money from them. They're already quite tight. Their budget is tight. Their margins are quite low. But what we could do is to recommend seed companies to sell the right seed varieties to the farmers, because now the seed companies can brag that they have high yields, and they will have high yields because they chose the right varieties. It's just that the seed company is now paying for it and not the farmer. So that's one example regarding the business model. You need to be really agile and to change things rapidly, and that's the kind of things you'd see in a startup. And the second thing is that instead of losing 1 year to build a product and then to try to rework the product so that it actually can be sold to someone, we should have made a bunch of interviews with unknown people. So it means a lot of cold calling. It means a lot of going out to the field, going to the bars, kafanas in the villages, and you know how it goes. It's not easy, but you need to do it, and you need to spend a lot of time. And it's like, well, there are some people here from Farid, so engineering faculty. It's like gradient descent optimization. You make a step in towards the right direction, and then you see what you're doing, and then you take the second step, and so on until you reach the goal. So the important thing here is to spend a lot of time designing the product. And I think that we here in Europe in general are more like technical, that we start from the technical perspective, and then we see where we can apply that. In the US, people like make a bunch of interviews, like 150 interviews, and then they design the product, and then they hire a company from Novi Sad that does outsourcing, and then they make the product. So it's not about the product, it's about the value that this product brings. So you also need to identify stakeholders. Like, for example, we had this AI algorithm for yield prediction and analysis of productivity and other things. And it turned out that it's not just the farmers and seed companies that need this. It could be also like banks, insurance companies, distributors, traders. Because if a trader knows that the yields are going to be high, well, he or she can like tweak the prices, optimize them, sell things, buy things at the right moment. And so you need to kind of think who can actually also use that, who needs what's the value that you're bringing. And with that, I think that it's very handy to do a lot of these tiny exercises, like who's the business persona? Can you think of an average person working in, for example, a seed company? Is he short or tall? Is it a he or a she? How old is that person? Do they like technology? Are they like risk averse? Like things like that. And you should always keep that person in mind. I think you can like draw that person like a photo robot and put it on the wall and always have that person in mind. And the second thing listed here is the business model canvas, where you just need to analyze all the stakeholders and all the potential clients, and then see what is the value that you're bringing, how can you reach them, who's actually paying for stuff, etc. Okay, so financing, that's probably the most important thing, because nobody wants to work for free. And it's quite hard when you start up, and well, you still don't have a product that you can sell to someone, you don't have any services, you still need to reach there. And somebody who's not from this world can maybe ask, so why don't you go to a bank and ask for a loan? Well, if you go to a bank and say, oh, well, I need like $1 million, maybe two, to develop this, nobody's going to give you that money with no track record. And you can also run away to Madagascar and just say goodbye, guys. And that's a very high risk. So you need to search for other sources of financing. And the first source of financing for the initial stage might be like what they call like triple F. So it's friends, family, and fools. So if you can fool people to give you some money, then you can maybe develop something from an idea to maybe not an MVP, but like at least something that you can use to acquire further funding. And then there are actually quite a lot of opportunities around. There are, first of all, there is the Innovation Fund in Serbia, and I'm sure that there is a similar organization in Croatia and all the European countries. That's one thing, that they give loans. It's usually like from 10 or 20K to 100, 200K, depends on the program. And they give you like equity-free funding. And what it means is that you don't have to give up the ownership of your company because somebody's giving you money. That's public money. It's kind of like helicopter money, because you don't have to do a lot of things about it. And I don't know about you, but I haven't heard that anyone gave the money back either to Horizon Funds or like Innovation Fund. That happens very, very rarely. But there are also other calls like Horizon, Cascade funding. And what Cascade means is that there's like a waterfall going on. So the European Commission is collecting money from the European taxpayers, and it goes to one big bag, and then a part of it goes to science and research funding, and there is, of course, Horizon. So consortia apply for Horizon funding, they get the money, but then they redistribute money, and that's like the second step. They give it to the startups, so the startups could develop something. Again, it's mostly equity free, but there is also like European accelerator, which does take some equity. So that's another source, which is, I think, the best way to go, because you're not giving up on ownership, but you can also go for like private equity funds, and that's basically rich people that don't want to invest the money in the banks because the returns are quite low. It could be VC funds, so it's like an organized group of funds or rich people that can give you some funding. Particularly, it's a bit higher than the private equity funds and private investors. And yeah, so you can get some initial funding if you're good enough, and you should always plan that you're not going to, your applications for these funds and calls are not going to go through. So the acceptance rate is around, I think, 10% for startups, maybe even less than that, which means that on average, you will need to write 10 proposals to get one project funded, which is not a good thing. But again, you should keep trying and look all the way for different sources. So regarding technology, the reason why we're here for startups, of course, is to implement these projects and give them money, and then like after half a year we can call it a day and quit. But we're not just here for that. We really want to position ourselves as the key player in the innovation ecosystem, and we want to be right there between startups, governments, other scientific institutions, the industry, and others. And regarding technology, I think there are a lot of people here which can help with the development. For example, if you have some questions about data, you can probably ask me. If you have some questions about sensors, Goran is, of course, more than willing to help you out. But I think that one very important thing is that we have a lot of laboratories. So I think, well, it's millions that were invested here in the labs, and these labs are of no use to anyone if they just sit there and nobody goes inside, and there is like 3 centimeters of dust on the equipment. So we really want to use them both internally and BioSense, and let other people use them, so that if you need a microscope or a laser or whatever it is, that oven they use for baking the sensors, guys, like, just come and give us a shout, and you can probably use that equipment. And and this equipment is really not something that you can buy using the money from the innovation fund. So if you get something like 20,000 euros, you will definitely not be able to buy all the equipment for producing a sensor for wind or soil moisture or something that's just out of your league. So that's why we're here, to help the small people and small companies. And one day these small companies are going to turn to big companies. So that's the kind of a business model that we have here. Also, you can get help from Milan, of course, especially regarding business modeling, regarding financial projections, and these things which are not technical but are as equally important or even more important than the technical bits. So listening to feedback is very important, especially in agriculture. So you need to be in constant contact with the farmers, and they're your potential clients, so you want to keep them happy. But in order to see whether they are really happy with your technology, you need to try it out on the field. And the farmers are very visual people and very practical people, so they want to see if it works or not. And so that's like a big test. But in order to test those technologies, we have a few vehicles here. So we've got Digital Village, which is a concept that we took just one village here in Banat in the northeast of Serbia, and we are using that as the testing grounds for collecting the data, for implementing sensors, for gathering feedback from the farmers. And it's quite similar with the living lab that we have set up here. And we also have a number of different clients or like partners or companies that we work with. So it doesn't have to be farmers. If you have 3D printer for foods, we can probably put you in touch with like Nestle or Ferrero or some companies like that. Team formation is also quite important. What struck me last time that we sat together was that we had a pitching competition by companies or like teams from academia that strive to be new startups. And I think that we had brilliant people there, some brilliant ideas floating around. But what the problem was that nobody was actually from the field of business, economics, management, finances, and it's important to have a balanced team. So just as we had a triple F, now we've got a triple H, which means that you need to have a hustler, a hacker, and a hipster in your company. The hacker is something that can make things work. It's an engineer. It's probably most of you guys. But then you need to have a hustler, somebody who can actually sell it to someone, because us engineers, we usually suck at selling things. We can say, okay, there is a small error at the third decimal place, and it's probably not going to work in 0.1% of the cases, so I can't guarantee that this works. But then you need some guy who is very charming and say, well, this is the best thing that you've ever seen. And then, like those TV salespeople, like with the dry cooker, with the thing for the spine, and the pillows that will stop your husband from snoring, and these things. But anyway, equity distribution is also quite important. So at the beginning, the whole company is going to be owned by you, so by the founders, and later, as the investments start coming in, that probably is going to dilute. So a part of your company will be given to the investor for some amount of money. So if you think that your company is worth 1 million, and if the investor agrees, so they can give you 100K to get 10% of the company. So your part is actually becoming smaller and smaller. And at the end of the company, at the stage of exit, when you either like sell the company or go make it public, so people can invest in the company, like there is a public offering, or you merge it, or it gets acquired or something else, you're probably going to own just a tiny fraction of the company. But it's better to have 3% out of 1 trillion than to have 100% from zero. So, I mean, your share in the company is going to decrease, but the value of the company is going to increase, and that's how you make money. But also, like, when you split in the distribution, it depends on the number of people who are there. So if there are 3 people, they're equally involved in a company, well, you can split it 3 ways. But if one person is just leading, another is following, that person is going to get a higher share. And something that I've seen frequently is like for people to use the law of ladder. And the law of ladder will tell you like the first person gets 50%, the second person gets 25%, the third 12.5%. So the important thing is to always know at every point what is the responsibility of every person inside a company. So I think that the mentoring is quite important, especially at the beginning, where if you are coming from academia, you don't really know a lot of things about business modeling and these things. So you will probably need a lot of mentors. Mentors are also a nice way to get access to a network of partners and clients and investors. So we can help you out with that. There can be also an advisory board where you have like people who went through all of that like 30 years ago, and they know exactly what you need and exactly who they can put in touch with you. Is this my slides? Can be okay. So please interrupt me. So regarding human resources, there are a lot of ways to go about this. Like there's generally a trade-off. So if a person comes to a company, that person needs to have some sort of compensation. And we're probably going to help you with mentoring if you want to spin out as a company, and like that's for free. But like if you want to have a person dedicated to the company, it's probably going to cost you something. So there are many modalities of how you can do this. Basically, there are 2 things which you can negotiate. The first thing is the salary. So if you're employing someone, you can give them a salary. It can be a small salary if they're not experienced, or a higher salary if they have 20 years of experience, contacts, something pre-made for the company, or whatever it is. But the second thing with which you can negotiate is the equity. So you can always say to people, okay, guys, I'm a small startup. I don't have money to pay you as much as I should, but I can give you like a few percent of the company, so that you have something which is like a very risky asset, but a very profitable asset potentially. So if you have, again, 3% of a company, if the company grows, that's probably going to be worth more than your salary. And the salary that you have in your company is just a tiny fraction of what you can earn by selling the company. So the real money is not in the salary, but in the equity. But it's, of course, way riskier. There are also a few programs that you can follow, like in Serbia, we've got this the first salary program where the government pays people for 9 months to get into the company, so you don't pay anything. You get a junior, so it's quite okay if you don't need someone who's that experienced. But there are also like plenty of people that want to engage in startups, maybe not full time, maybe just part time, but that's something that you need to negotiate. Legal and administration. So there are plenty of things that we can help you out with. The first thing is that if you want to acquire funding and if you're applying to different programs, you'll probably need some help in writing the application. So we've written, I don't know how many hundreds of applications for different Horizon projects during the past 10 years. So we can help you out with your project as well. But in my experience, once you know what you're doing and once you have the markets, research, business model and everything, it's not that hard to write the project. And that's the reason why the first project is the hardest one to write. Because you still don't know who's your customer, you still don't know what's the size of the market, like what Milan said, TAM, SAM, and who you're going to sell it to. But that's just one problem. The second thing is that you need to do the practical and boring bits like finding an accountant, finding office space. And by the way, we have the upper floor here intended for startups. So at some point you could have this space as your office space for your company. Contracts, NDAs. These days, there are a lot of things on Reddit. There is the Digital Serbia initiative that has the templates that you can download and use. Yeah, that's just some of the things that you need to see, but plenty of things will pop up on the way. And one thing that we set up is the branding, like powered by BioSense Institute, which the startups coming from this ecosystem can carry. And it's not just intended for startups that people from BioSense made. It's also intended for people from the ecosystem, so partners which are using BioSense's technology. And in a way, there is like a benefit for each side. So startups get this branding. So if you see people in a garage, nobody's going to give you money, nobody's going to try your product. But if you say, okay, we're two people from a garage, but we have our technology developed with BioSense Institute, somebody's going to recognize that and you'll get an easier access to clients. Again, on the other side, BioSense in 3 or 5 years time can say, okay, listen up, we got 20 million euros from the EU funding, but we use that to accelerate these 30 startups. So we're really making an impact on the job market, on the people, on the farmers, on farming in general, and whatever it is that we're doing. And this is me like doing the preaching as I'm doing now, but promotion is a very important part of everything. And I think the most valuable investment that we've ever made as Croft is that we had a designer. So I consider myself as someone who kind of, I don't know, I think I do have some touch for design, or maybe like what is pretty, what is not. But this was my. Okay, sorry. The thing at the top was as far as I could go with a pretty design, but then the designers came, fortunately, and then I got the proper pitch deck, a logo, and roll-ups or whatever it is. So it's like fake it till you make it, because if you have a very nice website, somebody's going to think that you're a very decent and sound company. The thing is that nobody can judge a company by the clients and by the impact you're making at the beginning. But if you show them the good design and it's nice, then people are going to think that the company is good as well. And Milan, you wanted to? Sorry for taking too much time, but
Yeah, here. This one here. Just what I want to add is that what I really do is that I say some of you, I stand by you and I believe in what you do and I'm gonna help you along. I know is it Joanna here? Yeah, you're here. Yeah. I just told my colleague that I'm gonna stand by her, help her in what she does, and that I'll be, let's say, the last one who believes in her innovation. You know. So I really think that that is part of my work, just to encourage something, to say, okay, I can help you out, and if you're alone, then we can do together. We are, for example, now one of the colleagues, I know if she's here or not, okay, Sara and Lila, they're preparing a pitch deck for their innovation. It's still, let's say, on some beginning level of innovation, but they're preparing pitch deck and we want to approach some industry clients and to see, to hear their feedback, what they hear about that, and potentially establish some connection. So I really find myself having fun with people here, talking about their great ideas, their crazy ideas, and really reminding them, okay, I know that you didn't have a time, come over tomorrow to my office, we can sit down together and then we can fill in that application and so on. What is important is, for example, for the Smart Start, that is the Serbian program for startups. If you have a startup idea, you get 50K from the government, let's say, for starting a startup. And part of that application is really nicely written form about which problem you're solving, what is your innovation, and so on. And you need to make a good video presenting the innovation and presenting the team, because they're really investing into the, of course, idea and into the team. So we as a TTO office, we can help them to organize video shooting, editing, and really polishing it up to look really nice. And of course, yeah, promotion of the BioSense events and so on. And what I also think that it's great here is that BioSense at the moment is not taking any equity in startups. What is, let's say, the business model, what Oskar said is that is impact actually. So all that was written here, the powered by BioSense. So the startups from BioSense, let's say, they have obligation to promote the BioSense. And I think also for BioSense, it is great to have one more startup in their ecosystem. And also, like later on, if they apply for some grants and so on, we of course encourage them to have the BioSense as a partner on that. So it could be also advantage for the BioSense. Okay, we are here. Yeah, I think that Oskar, you already covered, but we also help them with customer relationship management. For example, I was running one sales campaign for in my previous company. So we were setting various type of tools to do that automatically, but also really organically trying to approach the people. And what is here is good that BioSense has a large list of contacts that can help with really establishing something valuable. This is actually the first interest. And that was pretty much it. I think that at the moment, atmosphere, the BioSense is really great. The people have developed already so many innovations, and now they are on the door of going outside in the market and making really an impact. So please, now the floor is yours. If you want to ask us any questions, we are open for that. Thank you. Anyone? Don't be shy. At the BioSense, at the moment, we have 5 groups of people who are thinking about starting a startup. If we manage to get one going, it would be great for us. And I'm happy really to hear that people want to do that. And it's really a pleasure to work with them and to see that they're thinking market-wise. So all it's clear. Thank you very much. Vasu, can they hear us also? Can they ask a question or how it works? Yeah, if anyone online wants to ask a question, now it's your time. No, she just said it. People online can ask questions. Okay, thank you very much.